and then he'll start the meeting. And it'll just take a second.
I believe it's up and running now.
Yep.
You see, is it? Okay, great. I call this meeting at 7:02 p.m.
Okay.
Happy New Year. And let me do, I see Sean is here. Let me bring him on. Allow to talk. Find Sean again. So I'm just getting this ready. Hi, Sean, I see you have your hand raised. I'm trying to get you promoted to panelist. Well, here we go. All right, Sean, I think you're a panelist now. And I'll do one more look.
I don't see Kevin. I don't see Lee.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll. All
right. So let's
take attendance.
Just take attendance. Yeah. So Colby.
I'm here.
Robin, I'm here. Paige, welcome back.
Here. Thank you.
Tess. Tess, are you there?
She was here. Let me make sure she didn't get bumped off. She disappeared.
Did she disappear?
Let's go back to Tess. She'll be back on in a second.
Okay. Tony. Tony.
Hey, Tony, I just saw you.
Yeah, Tony.
He's off too. Let's come back to him.
Okay, but I see him under attendees, so you got to make him a panelist.
Okay, I just did, but we'll do it again.
Sean. Okay, Jay. Jay, are you here?
Yeah. Yes.
Sean.
Hello.
Hello, Sean.
Sorry.
Lee and Kevin.
You know what? He's not under mine. Is he under your attendance list? He's not under mine. Tony.
No, I just Tony would be the 310 number.
Oh, okay, that's right. Still doing some.
Curtis has his hand raised.
I know. I'm dealing with that. Yeah, I'm making his captain a panelist also, who's going to talk to us. I'm still looking for Tony. Here he is. So Tony, you should be able to unmute. Unmute audio. Tony, can you unmute? Okay. Oh, and Tess is back on. Yeah. A different phone number.
Okay, so Tess, are you here?
You hear me now?
I hear you now, Tony.
Okay, and Tess?
And looking for Tess. She's under a different number. Hold on. Tess, is this you? This 818? There are a couple 818 numbers. Tess, are you at 818? The last three digits, 452 or 668? Can you text me on text? Sorry, Tess is trying to join via a phone number, but I don't know which one of these is hers. Now, let me try this one. Hi, Tess, are you there? Tess lost the internet. She's trying to call. Let me give her a quick call. Hold on a second. Sorry about this.
No worries.
Here she is.
I can't hear you, Tess.
You're muted. She can't
Sorry,
hear us.
guys.
There we go.
There we go.
I lost the internet when I plugged in another lamp. I apologize.
Oh, no.
All right. Are we all good?
Yes.
I think we're all good. It took a while, but this is the first one of the new year. So it's
Well, welcome back.
Oh, wait, we're still doing attendance, right? Are we back to attendance? So we do.
I got Tess and I got Tony. So we're good. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 7 board, committee members, so we've got quorum.
Okay, good. Now we're going to the minutes.
Yep.
We're
So,
gonna start with motion A, approve the GTLNC September 6, 2021 Public Safety Committee minutes. Full text of the minutes can be found at https www.gtlnc.org. Any
we have a
first?
first.
Have a second on this one?
Who's the first?
Sean?
Sean. Thank you, Sean. Do I have a
You're welcome.
second?
Tony,
Tony, thank you, Tony. Any discussion on the minutes as read? Seeing none, hearing none. Motion carries 700. Okay. Motion B, to approve the GTLNC October 4th, 2021 Public Safety Minutes. Full text of the minutes can be found at the gtlnc.org. Do I have a first?
Sean again.
Sean, thank you, Sean. Do I have a second?
I can't do that one. I wasn't there for that one.
Okay,
Same.
I'll do it, Robin. Okay, any discussion on the minutes as read? Seeing none, hearing none. Motion carries 700. Okay. Motion C, approve the GTLNC November 1st, 2021 Public Safety Committee minutes. Full text of the minutes can be found at gtlnc.org. Do I have a first?
I get 3 for 3.
All right, Sean, thank you. Do I have a second? I'll be the second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, go ahead, Colby, with public comment.
Yes, we have public comment. Please keep your public comments to 3 minutes, please. And I'm looking for hands. Any attendees? Okay, Jonathan Gregory. Happy New Year, Jonathan. Oh,
Hi,
hi. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you. First of all, I want to be quick because I don't like your meetings to take any longer than they have to. So I don't mean to be coarse, but I'll just cut to the point. On the minutes that you had just approved, some of these things that I'm going to be talking about have been mentioned before, so they should not be new. The first thing I'd like to talk about was my suggestions on what this committee could be doing more to increase public safety. And I had mentioned letters to businesses when a business is filthy, is crapping up the community. Colby came back and said there's some sort of legal exposure. Maybe I was misunderstood, but there is no legal exposure for a neighborhood council to send a letter to a business owner to invite that business owner to participate in a community-wide effort to maintain or create a clean, safe environment. There's it's a ridiculous notion that there's any sort of legal exposure to a neighborhood council. Now, if you rolled in with tanks, maybe you had in mind something from Belarus, that's a different story. That's not what I was suggesting. So I invite you to go back and revisit the concept, because when a business is crapping up the community, it contributes to making it unsafe. The other thing I wanted to go over again was the initiative thing that I suggested, that area that Tess was proactive on, to where residents on Sarah Street in West Toluca Lake at the corner of Vineland were asking for a particular, it's a small area, to be filled in so that people can't camp there. Well, there was a shooting there or some homicide. I don't really have the details.
It was a stabbing.
The stabbing, okay. In any case, I once again ask you to revisit that issue and take it on as a neighborhood council, and don't let that hang on Tess's individual shoulders with her little neighborhood to solve such a problem when it could be taken on by the neighborhood council in order for the neighborhood council to be more involved with safety in the community. The other thing I'd like to mention is when we get to Officer Curtis, I'd like to have him talk about to the neighborhood council what influences the neighborhood council can have having to do with more law enforcement. I think we should talk about Proposition 47. And if you don't know what that is, it's time to learn. And the Gascon policies and police funding. And maybe there's something the neighborhood council could do, such as a CIS, that would lend support to the police protections. And maybe Officer Curtis can talk about that when he talks to us about crime. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Any other public comment? And I don't see committee comment. That's public comment anyway. So we'll move on to committee member news and announcements, neighborhood reports.
Colby,
yes,
may
Jeff.
I'm not sure if Adele Carrico has a comment or not.
She doesn't, Adele does not
Her hand
have
is not
her
up.
name, her hand raised.
All right. Okay.
Officer Delbar?
Hey,
Officer
everyone.
Delbar?
Hey,
everyone.
Curtis, Happy New Year. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you guys. Thank you. It's nice to see you guys. Nice to talk to you guys. Unfortunately, I'm still over a digital forum. I wanted to first start off with introducing Captain Mohammadi. He wanted to join today and just kind of introduce himself and for the new year. So I'll turn it over to him real quick.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Captain Ahmed Mohammadi, the Area Commanding Officer of LAPD North Hollywood Station. Just want to wish everybody a new year and wanted to make sure I reach out to you folks. A lot of stuff has been happening at North Hollywood in the past few weeks to kind of answer your questions and try to work with Officer Delbar to try to make a better relationship with your neighborhood council and your public safety committee. So thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we did have some questions. I had my own questions and
I do too.
from,
Yeah.
from the public. We just had, a concerned stakeholder, and first of all about that stabbing or that violence that occurred at Sarah. Can you tell us a little more about that, Captain?
Of course. So basically, the stabbing occurred at 1:30 in the morning on the 1st of January, as you guys are aware. It is not at this time, it's not designated as a gang-related violence. There is our Valley Bureau Homicide is investigating it. So usually when we see homicides occurring, we evaluate things for gang retaliation, if there is any patterns, or if there is any other major community concerns or issues for that specific neighborhood. At this time, we haven't basically identified any of that. Our homicide detectives are actively working on identifying the suspect that committed this. It does appear to be random. The victim wasn't targeted. It just, it occurred at 1:30 in the morning, random circumstances, and unfortunately, the victim passed away from his wounds.
And oh my gosh, that's awful. And wasn't there? And I talked to Officer Delbar about a week or so before. I think there was another violent act, shooting. Officer Delbar, was that? That's obviously a whole different act of violence. Is that we had about 2 weeks ago, I believe, in North Hollywood or Toluca Lake?
Yeah, I believe the shooting that you're referring to is the one at Victory and Laurel Canyon at Burlington Coat Factory.
No, it was a different one. It was that was the one I saw on the news where the girl was unfortunately shot in the I think it came before that tragic shooting of that 14-year-old girl. I think there was another one we discussed. Anyway, let's circle back to the stabbing. It's almost more. I think it's actually more frightening that it was random. And what would you, Captain? What would you suggest we do as a community? I mean, we had a stakeholder mention also a CIS, it's a community impact statement that maybe we could write up. How else could we tell the city that we want more funding for officers, we want more support for officers, and how else can we help you? And how
Of course, just to as you said, it is scary when it's just a random act of violence that kind of escalate from an argument between two people and one party ends up losing their life to it. It's very tragic. One thing that we've been asking, our community stakeholders, just like yourself, to continue to communicate with the city council, our council members, and also the mayor's office, because as you're aware, I believe we're down to 9,100 officers, and that's really taking its toll on deployment in regards to not just being able to handle the daily radio call loads, but also doing some high visibility observational police work that does assist with reducing crime. The other thing is obviously different safety precautions that you folks are very well aware of, traveling in a group, making sure you're aware of your environment, making sure everybody is alert and has a situational awareness, especially if you're going to walk in isolated areas, in dark areas, just some of the practices to avoid being a target for a criminal that's looking for an opportunity. The other thing about it is I just want to kind of put this in perspective. So last year, we ended up with 9 homicides for year 2021 in North Hollywood. And as you know, North Hollywood is a very, very big area, the year prior to that, in 2020, we finished that year with 11 homicides. So that was an improvement. Obviously, every life counts. It was very, very unfortunate that an hour and a half within the new year that somebody lost their life. But I think based on the work that you guys have been doing, I think the city council is looking at our budgeting. We're trying to hire more people and trying to get our numbers back to the way it was, so we could provide the service that you guys deserve.
Did LAPD officers, were they, because I think it was around, or your ranks are around 10,000. Is that correct? About 2 years ago?
Yeah, about 10,000.
Did they retire or they quit, or were they let go?
So we just had a class graduate after 6 months of nobody graduating last month. And because of funding issues, we didn't have any classes going on. Mm-hmm. And so the attrition caught up to us. And yes, you're correct. We were close to 10,000 and even surpassed that at a point. And we're now down to 9,100, taking a lot of people that are injured on duty, taking the COVID, because as soon as an officer tests positive for COVID, they have to automatically go into 10 days of quarantine, right? So at North Hollywood, my force capabilities is about 279 personnel. But out of those 279, not all of them, approximately about 120 or so are working patrol operations. Out of those 120, you have to take into consideration 12% of, for example, vacations. You have sick and IOD. You have different stuff, life, that happens and everything. So that really does hinder our operational efficiency, especially if people are resigning, retiring, going on long-term leave, and we're not getting the replacement. So on the last academy class, we got 2 recruits, and on the next one, we're going to get 4. So we're hoping slowly but surely we could get our numbers back to where they were and everything.
And you're hiring. They're looking to hire again. It sounds like.
Yes, absolutely. So out of 100 people, about 3 people get hired, and then they have to go through the academy process. And then, we try to start each class off about 50 plus. And, we lose a few people in the academy. And like that, we could hopefully get back. But with the numbers that we've lost over the past couple of years, it's going to take a few years for us to get back to those numbers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Captain. We have some questions from the committee, and then maybe.
And this is Jay Goldberg.
Oh, I'm sorry, John. Actually, if you can raise your hand, we had Paige and then Tess, but I'll put you after Tess. Is that okay, Jay?
He may not know how to raise his hand, so just go to him after both of them.
Okay. Actually, yeah, go ahead, Paige.
Yeah, I was just going to ask where the stabbing was, what part of the neighborhood?
Curtis, if you want to give them the exact location.
11,000 block of Sarah Street at Vineland.
Yeah, that's correct. That's pretty much on the corner of Vineland and Sarah. Or Vineland Place and Sarah, to be more specific.
And just to look at that, just so everybody's aware, that is not a gang area or a gang territory, because we always look at that when these things happen to see if there's any active gangs in that area, and that is not one of those areas.
Thank you. Next, we have Tess.
Thank you. So thank you for being here, Captain Mohammadi. Is that how I pronounced your name correctly?
You got it. Yes, ma'am.
Excellent.
Mohammadi.
Mohammadi?
There you go. You got it.
Very good. So thank you. So I've been on the Public Safety Committee for quite some years now. And I'm the president of the Residents Association for West Toluca Lake. So this happened in my neighborhood. And that area has been a problem area. You may or may not be aware of this already, but I just wanted to highlight that in the last 6 months alone, we have had, and all of this has been reported. On June 16th, we had a homeless woman who was observed sleeping on the street threaten one of the residents to burn down her house. This was captured on video and reported. We've had multiple car vandalizations and break-ins. We had a fire at that location at the 170 on-ramp immediately opposite, originating at an encampment. We've had drug dealing observed and reported, vandalization, broken street lamps, all in that little area within less than 100 yards of where that stabbing took place. So this is the culmination of a lot of problems, all of which have been documented, all of which have been reported. And so anything that we can do to help you do your job, I'd appreciate knowing about it. I'm also in touch. We've just been redistricted. Literally January 1st, we went from being in CD4 with Nithya Raman to CD2 with Paul Krikorian, Councilmember Paul Krikorian. So I'm getting in touch with Lorraine Diaz, who is our deputy director there, about this to try to move the landscaping forward in that specific area, because the geography of the area makes it so attractive for encampments. And as quickly as we can, clear the space out, it's then repopulated. So I just wanted to give that little background, because this isn't the first instance. It's the first homicide, but it's been, a steady stream of serious problems there. So my question for you, Captain, is, are the encampments now considered illegal with the passage of the ordinance late last year that now makes it, I believe it's illegal now to have encampments, because now homeless individuals can be offered housing and they have that option. So how does one treat encampments now? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, of course. So the city council last year passed the 4118 sections. There is 4 subsections, A, B, C, and D. The A and the B section is in regards to American Disabilities Act passage. If you're basically going to put up a tent, that you give access for people to be able to pass, how close you could be to somebody's driveway, etc., that I'll have Curtis explain. In regards to the DNC, the city council, each council person is responsible to looking at encampments that are generating crime in that area. They're supposed to research that and present it to the rest of the council. And once that area gets designated as a C or a D location, at that time the city family comes together with sanitation, the department, various entities to try to get rid of that encampment. That does not include all encampments. That encampment has to be designated by the city council. So it is not illegal to have an encampment if it doesn't fall within those territories. Curtis, did you want to add to some of those sections, since you're very well versed in 4118?
Yeah, so the other parts of 4118 D is referring to the American Disabilities Act, which means you have to have 3 feet of available space on a sidewalk for a wheelchair to pass. You have to have 10 feet from a driveway to be clear from an encampment, 2 feet from a fire hydrant. These are little minor things that we do include and do enforce regularly. The other issues that he was saying is that some areas are illegal to have an encampment, others are not. So like my captain said, having an encampment is not illegal. In certain areas it is, due to the nature of that area and due to that zone. For instance,
knowing what we know about this encampment and what has happened within probably a 20-foot radius of it, do we have enough to move this to the next level or not?
So unfortunately, that ruling is not up to us. It'd be going to the council office to discuss
Yeah.
that.
All right.
One thing that I want to say that Lorena Diaz has been a great partner to us, Councilman Krikorian. They've been great in regards to addressing a lot of these issues in Council District 2. I think you're on a great path in regards to communicating with the CD2, and they're really on these issues. If you see some of the passages, the under 170 and Riverside, and some of the areas that have been cleaned up, the credit goes to CD2 working with the Department of Sanitation to getting a lot of this stuff done. The other thing is, you guys narrowed down these issues that in that area. And I know Curtis is very well versed in that area. We'll do a environmental survey of that area, and maybe you guys, us, and the council district, we could work together to see maybe we could do some environmental improvement to make the area less inviting.
That's in the works. That's in the works, Captain. And I will tell Lorraine Diaz you said that about her. Thank you.
Of course.
And we have a question from Jay Goldberg. Hi, Jay. Thanks for your patience.
It's just the history. The history of the Public Safety Committee is 21 years. I was the first chairman of the Public Safety Committee as a board member. And I chaired it for 13 years until I got Craig Sean active in it. And I continued to work with him. One of our primary goals was to get the community very, very active in forming neighborhood blocks. You may have heard this before, but it was the truth that there was 100 neighborhood watches formed during that period. And it did a great deal of work in bringing the police and the community together and literally keeping the peace throughout the entire division. And I haven't heard anybody mention what the community could be doing and should be doing. And Tess, you remember when we first got you on the committee.
Yes,
that
sir.
was one of the important things that we did. And Harry Flynn at that time had a very important role in your community, which I think you're continuing to run. And I just think we're overlooking a great opportunity to bring the community back into the fold, to get people on the committee who really give a damn about what's going on in the nature of public safety. And the police, I think, would heartfully endorse that. And I would like to hear the captain's thinking on that. Or any,
Yeah,
any member.
I would quickly like to just add to Jay's comment, with 9,100 officers available for an entire community, the neighborhood watch is really the greatest asset we have. And Tess, I'm sure that you are driving that role in your area. And maybe we need to beef up watch captains on more streets in your neighborhood. And we can work on that together if you'd like.
Yeah, we do have watch captains. We can always use more. And Jay, you hit the nail on the head. We just had our first in-person neighborhood watch meeting on November 15th, the first in a year and change because of COVID. The young Robin Allen and Sean Besharati were both in attendance, among others. And yes, I couldn't agree more. So in person, and I have good block captains, but we need more. And that problem area is, we can report on the on the problems and the disturbances, but something more needs to be done. And landscaping is in the works. We got it moving with Mehmet when we were still with CD4, and there's a changing of the guard now, so Lorraine's going to take over that. So anyway, thank you, Jay. I think what you've done is fabulous, and we're trying to carry on with it. So thank you.
And Tess, one of the greatest assets you can put, because when I went to your watch meeting, it was very dark on your street, on Sarah Street, and you're right up against the freeway and all the shrubbery. And one of the things that worked in, I want to say it's off of Cahuenga, there was a little walkway that linked the Willow Crest is the street. Curtis, I'm sure you know that there's like a walkway that there was drug dealings going on, there was prostitution going on, and the neighbors were complaining. And what they very smartly did was they lit up the walkway, and it made it very unfriendly for all that stuff to go on. So I would highly recommend your neighbors putting up as much lighting as possible, and then see what you could do with Caltrans.
All right, thank you.
Oh, Sean had a comment. Hi, Sean.
Hey, thanks for that. I just wanted to ask a quick question, because obviously there's within what this happened on the 1st, there's 4 council people that are in that general area. So it is definitely a scary situation. The only question I would really have beyond what we've already asked is what can we do as a council? What can we do as individuals? And everything, I think we're doing as much as we can. But the question that I wanted to know is with respect to the victim, without getting too much information out, was this a resident? Was it just 2 random people? Just some further details would be, a little clarity would be nice if possible.
Sure. The victim lived in the area and was basically going from one location to another location within the area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And the one thing that I was just, based on everything that everybody's saying, it seems like, you guys are looking at the environmental factors. You guys are looking at the neighborhood watch meetings and the block captains. Talking to Officer Delbar, he's considering opening up. We're going to consider opening up a Sarah project, and I'll have Curtis explain the process with that. And we would be more than happy to even attend. I will be more than happy to attend some of these neighborhood watch meetings, just motivate the next generation of these block captains and everything, and talk about how important this is. And this is not just a gathering, but honestly, I think you guys are right on the money. The officers do their best, but the best part of this community policing is you guys reporting it, us being improving the environmental factors, like the lighting that you're talking about, like having cameras, making sure we're calling it in, taking care of our neighbors and everything. And I'm 100% for it. And I think you guys are right on the money. We had a really good momentum till COVID hit about 2 years ago, as you guys remember. And then all the meetings and everything just kind of stopped. And if we could get some of these meetings back up, and I think we got this COVID thing now, everybody does the social distancing, the mask and everything, that even if we do it in person, we could probably do it outdoors in a safe manner. And we will be more than happy to come and participate in some of these meetings, so the Toluca Lake community knows the importance of how it is to work in a partnership.
Great.
I have one more quick question.
Any comments from the stakeholders? Jonathan Gregory?
Jonathan. Mhm.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Captain Mohammadi, for being here, and Officer Delbar, if you're here, thank you all also. Captain Mohammadi, I would like to know, or have your assurance, if you haven't already visited yourself personally, Sarah Street on that particular block, will you do that, please? That's my first thing. My second question to you is, what specifically are you doing, and what is the schedule regarding police visits to the area? Is it being increased? How often a day do they go there? Do they turn the lights on, the searchlights on in the car when they drive by at night to shine onto the black areas? There's a very black area that you just heard about on one side of the street. My third question has to do with what Sean hinted at, which is I think this neighborhood council needs to know exactly where this crime occurred. Where did this stabbing occur? On the public space, on a sidewalk, in the street, on that? Where exactly did that happen? We need to know where exactly it happened. And lastly, I'd like very much, you were just asked, what can the neighborhood council do to encourage a more safe environment, to help you do your jobs? Clearly, funding was an issue. Can the neighborhood council you should know what a CIS is, send out a CIS that states a position regarding funding? Number two, can the neighborhood council send out a CIS that states a position regarding Proposition 47? Number three, can the neighborhood council send out a CIS stating a position regarding what they call the Gascon policies? Now, I realize you may not be at freedom to speak politically. It's your job, after all, I understand. But there has to be some form of communication for the police to inform this neighborhood council as to what positions will enable you to do your job, because clearly there are elements getting in the way. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. So first off, you asked me if I will stop at Sarah area. The night of the homicide, my partner, Captain Lozano, stopped at that area, and he responded, I just talked to Curtis. We're going to open up a Sarah project over there. And obviously, I will stop by the area to assist Curtis with some of the environmental survey. Curtis, if you have a moment, can you just explain the Sarah process and basically how we do it and how we manage that so they're aware?
Yeah, so the SARA process is basically a model to help problem solve a situation, which is, for instance, like the shrubbery in the area, some of the problems in the crime in the area. And there's 4 parts to that process. There's a scanning part, an analysis part, a response part, and an assessment part. And by the end of that project, we should be able to help solve that issue in that area. So again, all it is it's a way to help problem solve an issue.
And then the key with the Sarah project is it's not solely the police department, it's basically the community, the police department, and everybody working collectively to try to solve this issue. And I think this is a perfect example of an area that we could open up this Sarah project on, because based on what Tess and everybody else saying with the ongoing issues, maybe if we could do this in a more systematic academic way with the the policies and procedures we have in place, maybe we could fix this once and for all. The second question that you asked was the homicide. Where did it occur? It did happen in the public. It happened, I believe, on a sidewalk area. And the third question that you asked was in regards to the neighborhood council. So obviously, as I mentioned before, funding and staffing is some of our bigger challenges, because you have a department that starts at Mission Hills and goes all the way to Harbor Gateway, and the department has to meet a lot of different needs. And in regards to what a neighborhood council should do with the political entities, to be honest with you, it's not my place to tell a neighborhood council who they should send letters to or not. All I could do is just express what we would need to be more effective at our job.
Can you hear me still?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. There was also evidently assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated assault, 3 blocks north of that on December 21st on Blick Street. Are you aware of that? And also address police visits. How often are the police visits?
So the police. So when basically, we have mission areas and we have basic car areas. When a car is assigned to a basic car area, Officer Delbar advises those officers that are working the various shifts that are assigned to that area. They're the ones that in their free time do the extra patrols and basically pass by different areas. Now, since we're going to open up this Sarah project, when Officer Delbar stops by or other entities stop by as a part of that Sarah project, that all gets documented to show the efforts in regards to improving that area. In regards to the aggravated assault, I'm not aware of that. Curtis, are you aware of that? Because I was on vacation for the past week and a half or so. But Curtis, are you aware of an aggravated assault a couple of blocks away?
No, I'm actually looking it up right now as we're talking.
I have the DR number.
I'm still looking it up. Give me a second.
But yeah, that's basically, that's why I think the Sarah is good, because it can capture our efforts. We just did a Sarah project at another location in North Hollywood. It took us about a year to kind of resolve everything, but all the graffiti, gang issues, drinking in public, and the violent crime basically disappeared based on the efforts that everybody put in and working with the stakeholders over there too. But again, it's a timely process. It's not going to get fixed, as you guys are well aware, overnight. It's going to take some time to fix a lot of these issues.
Okay. Well, Officer Delbar looks up that case number. We'll go to Tess real quick, and then I'm sure in that time.
Yeah, two
Delbar,
clarifications, please. Captain or Curtis mentioned a four-step process: scanning, analysis, assessment. What was the fourth one?
It was scanning,
Response.
analysis, response, and assessment.
Okay, scanning, analyze, response, and then assessment. And the second clarification is there are approximately 9,100 police officers now in Los Angeles. And Captain, you mentioned that you have 279 of them in your area. To what area specifically are you referring? The North Hollywood area, the Valley?
Yeah, no, 279 are assigned to, but they're not all police officers. There are various ranks. There are civilians also that work for us. That starts from a police officer 1 all the way to the captains. So
in what geographic region?
It would be North Hollywood area,
Okay,
like our
got it.
area that basically we're responsible for.
Okay.
And so yeah, so basically out of these 9,100, a good number of it are assigned to patrol operations. There's 21 areas in the city of Los Angeles.
Okay.
And we're one of them. So they have to distribute these numbers to these 21 areas. And also, remember, there's a lot of specialized areas like SWAT, bomb squad, specialized detectives and everything. So not all 9,100 are working in a geographical area capacity because they have different assignments.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Officer Delbar, any luck on finding that case?
No, I do need the DR number.
Oh,
So
Jonathan, you have the DR number?
Yes. 211518965.
All right. Since I'm not on my computer, I'm gonna have to look that up and get back to you on that one, John.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question before we
Real quick, yep. Go ahead, Sean.
With respect to the Sarah project, you said that there's various levels of volunteers of both the community and public. Is there any way that like anyone like myself could volunteer to be a part of that project?
Of course, of course. And like I said, one of the biggest part of the Sarah project is the community part of it, the community participation. What are we doing with the community? I know that this neighborhood council and the public safety committee is looking at some of the environmental areas issues, but you guys are coming with one perspective. Me and Curtis looking at it could come with a different perspective, and we could all brainstorm to come up with the best solution for the area. The other thing is, again, working with the businesses, because we talk about lighting. A lot of time, the city of Los Angeles, it takes a little bit of time to get some serious lighting, but maybe we could reach out with the neighborhood council and the police department to some of these businesses to participate in cameras, lighting. You know, some people are put boulders in front of their private property so people don't put encampments. But absolutely, we could definitely work on this, because again, at the end of the day, there has to be community partnership and participation in this. If not, it's not going to work, because it's going to be a temporary Band-Aid fix.
I definitely want to throw my hat in the ring, and Officer Delbar has my information. So whatever you need from me, let me know. I'll be glad to participate.
Perfect.
And include me as well, Captain. Curtis knows how to find me.
I will have Curtis actually calendar a day, and we could all meet up at the location together. And we can talk about the location.
Thank you, Captain Mohammed. Sorry, I have a cold.
How about this? I'll make it easy for everybody. You guys can call me Mo. Captain Mo is easy.
No, I can do it. And thank you, Officer Delbar, again for
thank you guys.
Your continued support.
Thank you.
We'll move on.
Thanks for having me. Have a great night. Be safe, folks.
Take care. Happy New Year, sir.
Stay safe and Happy New Year. We'll move on to our Council District 4 report, which we're now down to District 2. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, we don't have our new field officer yet, so we'll put a pause on that. But everybody, we are now CD2. We are no longer CD4 and we're under Paul Krikorian. So just know that that's the council you're now sitting in. Regarding Neighborhood Watch, the only thing I want to say is that I've signed up a few more watch captains for some of the streets. You know, every time there's crime, the watch captains grow. So even though it's a bad thing that we have crime, the good news is the communication is great. And get out, meet your neighbors, add them to your lists. And if you have a street that does not have a captain, contact me with a name of somebody that might be interested, because you're there, I'm not there. I field the people, I put them on my list, I send them the crime stats, but you're actually on the ground with all these people. So if there's a street that's missing a watch captain, find out somebody that lives on the street and ask if they'd be willing to just email people. That's really all they're doing. It's communication. And that's really it. And Steve, we haven't seen in quite a while, LADOT. Maybe we could get him here eventually.
I see Tess has her hand up.
Yep.
Hi, Tess.
Yeah, two quick things. First, Robin, am I still on your block captain list?
Of course.
Okay. Well, I mean, there was a little bit of a lull over the holidays, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, there's probably a new report that'll come. I forgot to ask Curtis about. Curtis, are you still there?
Yeah, I still see him.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Do you know approximately when I'll get the new crime stats?
I wish I could. Our civilians have been on holiday for a little bit, so I'm waiting on them
it's
to.
the new year. Okay.
Robin, hold on. The other item is we sort of raced through, and I think we skipped over committee announcements. I wanted to mention one crime item as well. In our neighborhood, one of my residents has reported frequent mailbox burglaries. And Paige, I know that you were having problems with that at your condo. I don't know what you ended up concluding, but I did some research, and it's not the postmaster that we need to contact. It's the inspector general. So the inspector general is the one who handles that. And I've given some suggestions or instructions to the resident in my neighborhood on how to handle that. Have you had any luck, Paige, with your break-ins, your mailbox burglaries?
I did, yeah. So actually, Officer Delbar was really helpful in helping us figure out that this, because of the circumstances of ours, where our mailboxes are behind a locked door. So under that circumstance, we're supposed to report it to the LAPD as well as to the Inspector General. And the purpose of the Inspector General reporting is really to get the mailbox rekeyed. So they're the ones that are in charge of changing the actual mailbox lock, which we had to get on a list to do. And I believe they've come to do it one time, but we weren't expecting them and there was no one to let them in. And so now we kind of got kicked back down the list. So the wait can be quite long. Obviously, the last time we talked about this was like 3 months ago, and the incident had just happened. And I think we're still waiting for our mailbox to be rekeyed. Although, like I said, I think they did try a few weeks ago.
If you text or email me your address, if the resident in our neighborhood is going to, do the initial groundwork, but I'm going to be in touch with our congressman's office regarding the Toluca Lake Post Office, and I'm going to mention this as well. The Inspector General items on our list. So if you let me know your address, I'll see if I can't bump that up on the priority list.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I would also say if there's any, we had camera footage of the thefts taking place, and Officer Delbar had said that would be really useful, and the detective we ended up connecting with was really happy to have that because he was able to identify the person immediately, that it was a known person who had done this in a few places, and they were very grateful to have the security footage. So,
all right, good. So it's moving. That's good.
Yes.
All right.
Colby, real quick under community announcements, Tony has an update for us.
Oh, good.
Tony, you still want to speak about it? Yes.
I think, he called in, right? Let me ask him.
Yeah, he called in. Tony, are you there?
Hi, Tony. We can always come back.
Okay.
I don't think he hears us.
Okay.
Okay.
I know he was gonna give a little COVID update or, oh, I know what it was. Tony, are you there? It's a, I don't know how difficult any of you found it to get a COVID test before the holidays. I found it extremely difficult. I went to 2 places, waited in line for several hours and couldn't get in. Oh, Tony's calling me. But there is a place up at Universal. Wait, let me put Tony on speaker.
I was trying to get back in. I was texting you.
Okay, he's trying to get back in, Colby.
I don't.
Are you the 310?
Are you 310 or are you? Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, here he is.
Okay.
Hi, Tony. I brought him up.
Yeah, it still says mute under the
Yeah,
1888. That's him.
I know. Hold on. Ask to unmute. He's able to talk. Talking permitted, it says. So.
Tony can, oh, he can, oh, push *9. Is it *9 to unmute? I think. Is it *9? I think that's what it says at the bottom of our agenda.
I'll look right now and see what that's. I know that's new.
Anyway, the COVID tests were extremely difficult to get.
*9, yeah, *9 to unmute.
Okay, there we go. Tony? I see him twice.
I know. Yeah, I see him twice. Let me try the other one. Maybe he's trying on his computer another way. He's asked to unmute.
Tony, push *9.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you.
All right.
Go ahead, Tony.
I was calling it what I was going to say about the COVID issue is obviously we've all been watching the news. We all know that numbers are up. It is still a problem. We're going to see what happens the next couple of weeks. Obviously, everybody coming back from holidays, everybody wants to get tested. The problem is right now it's not that easy to get a test. What I've randomly found is that actually City Walk is fairly easy. They have a system set up there that I'm assuming was because in order to go on the tour, you need to be vaccinated or tested, and they probably had a lot of people in from out of town that didn't know that and then showed up with tickets, and then it was a big problem. So what they've opened up in the parking garage is a really great testing center. It's a lot like the core things that we used to do. You literally can scan the thing. While you're in line in the parking garage, you can log in, get it all set. Then you go through the line. You do the testing. You do it yourself. You do it up your own nose, and then you go through the process. You get a rapid test and you get a PCR. The rapid test takes about 10 to 15 minutes. You find out, then the PCR you get the next day or the day afterwards. There's no charge for it. You can put in your insurance information and you get to go through this process. The only downside is that you do need to get up to City Walk, which is, either a general admission parking, which is $30, or if you're going to a movie, then it's $5. But my question on this is everybody that's on the beautification team, you guys used to have a connection with NBC up there and NBC Universal. Is there any way to find out a little bit more information to see if if access can be given to our Toluca Lake residents, or if there's any way to do it? There's just a life hack to get around it is you literally just buy a movie ticket and pay $5. So you're paying $22 for a COVID test, and anywhere else around town is $100, $150, especially having to get it right away if you don't have an appointment. So Colby, you're on the beautification.
Yes, I'm an advisory. Yeah.
I don't know if
out-
beautification has any in
Push.
with
I will say there is. If you just go, I've gotten.
I know you don't have any push or in there, but is there any way to just find out what the contacts are that you guys have from Universal through the beautification that I can even start with that name, and then I can do the research to try to find out someone else over there, at least coming from that side. It's an easier way in from the community of asking. It's just an idea. Yeah, it's like
I personally don't have any contact with Universal, but I'll look into it. And number two, I've gotten a couple of COVID tests recently. I know Hummingbird it's in Studio City, kind of where Chin Chin is in that development across from Arts Deli. They'll, you know, they just do it for free with insurance. You just give them, you scan your insurance card, they do it for free. And then
You
also,
need to have an appointment.
no, they took walk-ins when I did it was a walk-in. And they,
Okay, well,
I
my
think they prefer
question was-
appointments. I'm sorry?
Another question, Robin, are you the one that's doing the board up there right now across from Traders? Can we maybe have a little bit of space and I can put together a list of all these different places for people to get testing with the sign that
Yeah,
says
absolutely.
testing information. So when people drive by, they see that and then they know they can park to walk up to it. That might be a good thing for the community to be able to know where to go to testing. That's
That's
not
a
too hard to
really
do.
good idea, Tony. Just email it to me or print it out and give it to me, and I'd be happy to do that, of course.
Okay, I'll compile that. Colby, I'll reach out to you to
Great.
get a little more detail on which, when you're talking about anybody else on the safety committee, if they've also found good places for testing or vaccination, if you can email myself, TonyCarey68@gmail, or find one of us. I'm sure we can get you the email, and we'll compile that and get that up there, because I think testing is a big part of it, especially being able to get it right away is really the way to be doing it these days, and it's not the easiest thing to do, especially after these holidays when everybody's trying to do it.
Yeah, a list would be good. I mean, for instance, I was driving down Ventura Boulevard the other day and I saw free testing at Barnes & Noble, which is that converted movie theater, you know, on Ventura Boulevard with Laurel Canyon and Ventura. Yes, Tess.
Yes, Tony, I have a contact at Universal. Our neighborhood has been getting 10 free passes per year per resident, those who've been grandfathered in. And I was in touch with that person last year. I'll have to look for the name, but I will get that to you. And I think that's a really good idea. And number two is our lovely guest today, Crisanta Gonzalez. I told her she would be on around 7:15, and I want to apologize to her. We have the great misfortune of having had an unexpected homicide a few days ago, which has occupied a lot of time at the top of our meeting. So I would like to suggest perhaps that we get to Miss Crisanta, because I don't know how much time she may have set aside for us. Colby, would that be possible?
I think we're all set for, I don't think Steve Rostam is on. Robin, is that?
We can move right on to the guest speaker.
Yep.
When we're done, we just have the two ongoing points.
Sure.
That we need to.
And Tess, if you know her very well, you're welcome to introduce Crisanta. I know she's the emergency response coordinator, and then we'll move forward. But she's also been promoted to a panelist, so she can screen share with us also.
Great. So thank you very much. Crisanta, welcome to you. I do apologize that the start is a little bit later than I advertised to you, but I'm very happy to have you here. We want to know how to be ready for any emergency, and we put ourselves in your hands. So I know that you have a short PowerPoint presentation for us, but mainly I want to know about resources. I downloaded everything from your website. I have a lot of physical pamphlets from the Emergency Preparedness Summit that Tony and I attended a couple of years ago. And I just want to make sure we are up to date on all the information that we can disseminate to our community. And I, for one, am planning some emergency preparedness workshops and hope that we can coax you into coming in and leading one in person. So take it away, my dear.
Well, don't worry about the time. My world is emergency management, so my time schedule is very flexible. You never know when a rainstorm's going to flood the street or anything. So please don't worry about that. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm Crisanta Gonzalez. I'm an emergency management coordinator for the city of Los Angeles. How many here, by show of hands, know where the Emergency Operations Center is and what it does?
Uh-oh.
Great. Let me tell you about my life then. The Emergency Operations Center is co-located on Temple, down from City Hall. We're co-located with the LAPD's call center and the LA Fire Department's call center, the Department Operational Centers for LAPD and LA Fire. In the event of a planned large event or an unplanned event, we activate the EOC to either a level 1, 2, or 3, depending on the severity of the event or the incident. So we'll activate for the LA Marathon, or we'll activate for a wildfire or an earthquake. So that's what my responsibility is to help the city be prepared. I'm currently the division chief over both the planning division and the community preparedness and engagement division. We also have 2 additional divisions, the training division and the operational readiness division, in addition to our administration division. So together, those divisions work to help the city become prepared as a city family. We do trainings citywide. We do trainings with the military. We do trainings in-house. We write the plans, the 40+ plans for the city, and then we do exercises to test those plans on an annual basis. So that's our day jobs. And then of course we always are standing by to activate the EOC as necessary. So as the division chief for the Community Preparedness and Engagement Division, I come to meetings such as yours, and I share resources as Tess mentioned. So our website is readyla.org. You're welcome to go check it out, readyla.org. We have checklists there. We have a lot of resources if you have need a pet checklist or a personal checklist to be personally prepared. But kind of what I wanted to talk to you all tonight, what I've kind of gathered from the theme of your meeting, from what Jay's mentioned, your senior lead officer has mentioned, and many of you mentioned, it's the community aspect and the getting to know your neighbors and the block captains. That aligns with what I'm going to be talking about. Do you all prefer a PowerPoint, or would you prefer that I just speak to you?
I like humans. I like humans better than PowerPoints, but
okay.
It's up to everybody else.
Does that work for everybody? It's a very short PowerPoint. All right. Well, I'll mostly.
We're happy with just talking. We like to see people too. I think it's refreshing.
That works for me because it says that I'm disabled and I can't share my screen. So
oh no! Let me move you forward if I can.
That's okay.
I'll make you a host if you want to do it.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Great. So as the captain mentioned and as your officer mentioned, we have less than 10,000 police officers, and we also have less than 5,000 firefighters for a city of 4 million. At times, our population, of course, goes up to 6 million when people from outside the city limits come in to either work or go to school or whatever. So right now it is, according to my laptop, it is 8:03. I don't have my glasses on. So let's say that I was to tell you that we were going to have an 8.0 earthquake at 8:13, 10 minutes. 10 minutes we were going to have in your area across the city. Let's say it was going to be an 8.0 earthquake, just to keep it in the eights. How many of you, by show of hands, are personally prepared?
I'm half prepared.
Half a hand?
Yeah.
How many of you believe that your family is prepared? Show of hands. Okay. How many of you believe that your neighbors are prepared and can be there to assist you? So that's the reason we're trying to get this free resource out to as many neighborhoods as we can. We need the coordination of block captains, such as you guys are already trying to build up. What we ask is that each block captain host a Ready Your LA Neighborhood workshop or a Ryland workshop. And that workshop is approximately a 90-minute workshop where they are in charge of communicating, much as Robin said, the information of the meeting time, the meeting date, what the meeting entails. We give you everything virtually that you can either print out and hand out, or you can email or share virtually. That includes informational flyers, invitations. Even we've converted everything to virtual, including the workshop materials. So now you can do those electronically as well. We provide all of that, and we provide support. If you would like us to lead the workshop, we're available to do that after hours. Or during the week or weekends. If you would like to do it, we can help walk you through it, and then you can lead your own workshop. It's a video, it's a stop and start video. We just provide a little extra information as emergency managers. So we encourage every block to do a Ryland neighborhood, because the point of the Ryland workshops is for everybody to get to know their neighbors. So raise show of hands, how many of you know the neighbors to the left and to the right of you? Okay, across the street?
I don't have anything across the street.
How many vulnerable people live in your neighborhood within a 6-house radius? 6 residence radius? You know them? Okay. How many of you know who has pets and who has kids?
Mostly.
Those are all things that are flushed out in these workshops. You get to know your neighbors. You get to know where your vulnerable population is in your neighborhood. And we only ask you to invite the people that you can knock on their door after you leave your home, set your fire extinguisher outside, walk to the pre-designated gathering site, see who shows up, and then be able to knock on every door in 1 hour. So if that's only 5 residents, then you only invite the near 5. When you step out your door, you invite the people that you can see to the right of you, to the left of you, in front of you. Don't go around the hall, around the block. It's just the people that you can get to those doors in the first hour. Because realistically, what are the numbers we've been talking about all night? We're down to less than 10,000 officers. We're less than 5,000 firefighters for a city of 4 million. If we have a catastrophic earthquake in the next 6 minutes, what's the realistic possibility that they're going to get to your street?
3 days.
Maybe, depending on the level of the catastrophe, maybe longer. So in that time, we call it the golden hour. Immediately after a catastrophic event like an earthquake, we call it a golden hour. That's the critical time where you're going to get someone who has a broken leg, someone whose shelf has fallen on them, someone who's scared, traumatized, and maybe going into shock. Someone who is not at home, is at work or at the grocery store, and their kids are home, their dogs are home, their cats are home, their loved ones are at home, and they can't get to them. And that's where their neighbors, they need to be able to reach out to neighbors. We talk about all of that, how you get to know each other, how you're going to plan for this, what's your communication plan personally and on a street level. So that's all happens in this 90-minute workshop. The city of LA doesn't keep any of the information. All we ask is that you tell us your boundaries, your neighborhood boundaries, what streets, and we put that on a map so that we can identify kind of who's better prepared and who we need to target this message to that is not as prepared. So that's what the Ryland program is kind of all about in a nutshell. The key to it is getting to know your neighbors. That's the key to all of this, is that the more, and then once you have this workshop, we offer also a free drill. So 6 months or a year later, or whenever you decide, we can download your cell phones or your emails addresses or your home phones, and then we will put it in our computer system. How many of you are signed up for Notify LA, the messaging system the city uses to send out emergency notifications?
I am.
I think I am. I do get messages like that.
Great. So that's the system that we would use. We would use the Everbridge system, and we would put in a drill. And so it would send out to your group, your Ryland group, and it would say, okay, this is a drill. It's a Ryland drill. There's we're experiencing a 7.0 earthquake. You've been affected. Do step 1 of your Ryland. And then we go through and we walk you through by text or by call through the 9 steps. And when you get down to the part where you have to gather and meet, then we can email you or we can be there in person, and we give you scenarios. All right, Robin's, at home and she can't get out, her doors are jammed. What are you guys going to do? Do you remember how the teams are, how you're going to break up in team? What team would go do that? Colby has he's a ham radio operator. What team would you put him in? Paige is home with the baby. Who's supposed to go get her and take her to the care center? Who's supposed to go help her? So all of these things are things that we would personalize in your drill, and you guys have to talk it out. We're not there to give you the solutions. So part of the Ryland is you list the skills and qualifications that each neighbor has, whether you have a nurse living by you, someone who's CERT trained, a doctor, a firefighter, a plumber, a carpenter, a clinic psychologist, someone who knows how to de-escalate. All those skills and qualifications are wrote down so that you all know what resources you have on your street. And then there's another page where you actually list the equipment, who has generators, who has axes, who has chainsaws, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So at the end, when you do your drill, we don't tell you how to do it. We just give you these scenarios that we get feedback from you. And then you guys talk it out. Okay, if this happens, your care center that you guys identified, guess what? It's not going to be available. What's your backup plan? Where are you guys going to take someone who's scared or whatever, or hurt? So that's another free resource that we offer. So the whole Ryland plan all together, we can help walk you through it from A to Z, helping you build up your team block captains, whether they want to lead the workshop or we can do it. When do you want to do it? We can help you send out the emails. We can help you set up the workshop, either Zoom or in person, and then we can set up the drill. And then annually, we can come back and do it every 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And then we just ask that you, as new neighbors come in, you just kind of talk to them about Ryland and tell them what's happening. So that's kind of where we want each of these neighborhood councils to push and preparedness committees to push for, is to try and get as many of our city neighborhoods as prepared as possible. And really what we're asking is for everybody to get to know their neighbors. Yeah, Tess.
Yeah, so I mean, I know gobs and gobs of my neighbors, and I went through your website with a fine-tooth comb and started to schedule something, but there were only 2 options. Do you live in a single family home or in a multi-unit building? And I'm actually interested in organizing something for my entire neighborhood, but on a workshop by workshop basis. So I guess should I select single family home or
is your neighborhood, we're doing that with actually 4 other councils.
Okay.
We're already in the process of doing that with 4 different groups. So is the street, it really isn't going to matter. We're going to work with you. I can work with you on the workshop will be the same. The difference with the multifamily units is that we have to work with the owners of those condos or
I see.
apartments.
Well, we have both in my neighborhood. It's largely single family homes, but with apartment, mostly smaller 10, 15 unit buildings on the periphery.
Yeah, we would just have to be in contact with the property managers of the apartments. That's the only difference, is to see what their rules and regulations are. You know, some people don't allow ladders. You know, you never know. They may not allow the equipment. So that would be the difference in the planning, and the verbiage is a little bit different in the actual paperwork because their needs are much different than a single family home.
Okay, very good. Well, I'll be in touch with you about the best way to schedule, because I'd like a series of them. You know, our neighborhood is too large to have just one. I mean, we want, as you said, block by block. And I think your literature said between 20 and 30 homes, or as many people as you can reach in an hour. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you live in a canyon, that might be 5 or 6 homes. If you live in a flat street, that could be up to 20 homes. It's who you can get to and check on those houses in the first hour. That's how you.
I have a question. Is Ryland the same as Map Your Neighborhood? Is it two?
That's a great question. That's a great question. We built Ryland around Map Your Neighborhood. So Map Your Neighborhood doesn't offer a drill. It doesn't offer the talking about resources and bringing a communication plan together. But we use the actual Map Your Neighborhood tool. That's the flip chart. And then we've modernized it to look more like LA. And then we've also made it into an electronic version. So we've just taken Map Your Neighborhood, and we worked with the creator of Map Your Neighborhood, Dr. Luann Johnson. So we worked with her to develop it to be more for LA and to modernize it.
Yeah, because I years and years ago, when I lived on a different street, and I became the watch captain, I mapped my neighborhood or my street. And one of the things that they encourage, not only knowing your plumbers and your doctors and who has a generator, but also a triage location, because sometimes, everybody needs to meet in a single location so they can get the help they need. So, everybody, if there is a major catastrophe, there was a dirt lot next to one of the houses, and the owner of the property said we could use it if there was ever an emergency. So we could create kind of a triage area where everybody, if this happened, all meets there. And then they would be told, go to this house or go do that. So it's almost like an escape route when there's a fire or an earthquake. You need to know how to get out of your house, but there's also needs to be a location where people meet up. So they plan location.
We still do that. Part of the workshop is to identify 2 locations. One is your gathering site, where you're going to break up into teams, into the 4 teams. And the other is the care center, where you're going to triage and you're going to take people who are experiencing whatever it may be, that need to be surrounded by other people. And so you take your skills list and you find if there's a nurse or a psychologist or, just someone who's really good at something. Some people even say anybody who's got a lot of wine, depending on what your neighborhood needs. And so you do pre-identify.
So
your team members, though.
Because of COVID, we've been sort of, and especially now it's December, January, God, it's January. It's been hard to meet in person. Is there a kit that I could send out, or a digital thing that I could send out as the lead for the watch captains, that every watch captain can get and read up on and maybe do on their block? Is there something you could forward to me that I can now attach to Officer Delbar's crime stats? I'll have that for January. Is there something that you can send to me that would explain all this and maybe encourage them to host a watch captain?
Yeah, we have a 6-minute video that talks about Ryland, and then we also have a toolkit. So like
great.
the captain's toolkit. It may not be exactly, we're still tweaking it because we have just gone digital recently. So we're still trying to see what's working and what's not working. So we'd love your feedback on that. And
send it to me. I'll go over it. And then once you've tweaked it, I'll send it out to the watch captains. But at least
Well, we'd like you to send it out to the watch captains and have them test it.
Oh,
And
okay.
see, yeah, and see if they like it or not, or if they say, well, I kind of didn't get this, or this was unclear, and then that way we can continue to keep tweaking. It's kind of a living document for us right now, a living toolkit for us right now. But I do have something.
Crisanta, are those the items that are already on your website? The emergency preparedness guide, checklist, brochure, pet supply? No, okay. The toolkit
No, those.
You can send us. Okay.
Yeah, the toolkit is once you've identified that you want to do a workshop, we send you the toolkit. So it's a flyer, informational flyer. It's an invitation, a digital invitation, and it's also the Map Your Neighborhood workbook, but digitized.
Okay, great.
Great.
And then if you want to do it in person, because we're expecting the numbers to go back down in February after this spike, holiday spike. We have plenty of the older Map Your Neighborhood printable ones that we have boxes and boxes of those that we had printed out before COVID hit. So, we're flexible.
Well, we could use those when we meet in person, but I could hand those out. Can I get your email?
Sure. It's my first name dot last name, Crisanta dot Gonzalez.
SANTA dot
Gonzalez.
And it's GONZALEZ. Yeah.
At LAcity.
.org. Okay, great.
And if you all have a pen or a paper, or you want to write this down, or you want to put it in your email or your notes, my cell phone number is 213-505 5467.
5467. Great.
That's my city cell phone, so I have it 24/7.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Is there still a lot of hands-on first aid training during COVID, or has that slowed it down a lot?
Yeah, the CERT and the hands-on first aid has stopped.
Okay.
Well, the city doesn't do the hands-on first aid. It's my understanding that the parties that, CERT has stopped all in-person activities due to COVID and due to also our lack of staff around the city, citywide, fire, PD, and ourselves. Right now, I have the 4 bureaus for the 4 million people. My bureaus align with LAPD and LA Fire, and I currently have only 1 staff member. I've lost the other 3. I have 1 per bureau, and now I'm down to just 1.
Is there like a YouTube video or something like that? I can just, we can probably just Google it, but does the city have an official kind of set of CERT, maybe something like a
for Ready Your LA Neighborhood?
You could follow along with, or just
for the Ryland program?
No, for first aid.
Oh, no, I believe American Red Cross has one.
Okay.
We do not. I'm sorry.
Okay, there's plenty of places to get it.
Actually, I think it's the fire department that does the CERT training. So they
the CERT, yes, but you were asking about CPR first aid, right? First aid CPR.
Yes.
Yeah, the fire department doesn't do that anymore. It does the CERT training, which is part of it. Yes.
But they discontinued that during COVID. Yeah. Right. Okay. So it's more virtual. Any
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Some of the volunteers, the CERT volunteer leadership under the fire umbrella are continuing to doing meetings. Some of them are. I think the South is and the Valley is. But LA Fire itself is not not doing them.
Okay.
Any questions for Santa?
Any questions or comments from the stakeholders? Jonathan?
Thank you, Crisanta, for your presentation. You said something that was very interesting, and you're falling, unfortunately, into a meeting that's just addressed a homicide. You may find it interesting, but I'm going to overlap it. You said something quite interesting. It caught my interest anyways. You said the population of Los Angeles is at around 4 million and can swell to 6 million during an event. Okay. That's really interesting because we were just hearing there were 10,000 police officers. And I looked it up while we were having our meeting before you, but so I was paying attention to you. I looked up what's going on in the United States. In other words, where is Los Angeles in its emergency coverage of police? And actually, it's catastrophic. You may find it interesting to know that when you do the math, 10,000 police officers, it's actually 10,400 police it's listed as right now. If you divide that up across a minimum population of its 3.9, you're coming out to 2.6 police officers per 1,000. Now, what's normal? We're 73rd down in the top city, the largest cities of more than 50,000 people. So only look at the cities, more than 50,000 people. Los Angeles is 73rd when you list them, the top 100 of police officers. So like Washington, D.C.'s got something like 6.6 per thousand. Los Angeles is 2.6 per thousand. In other words, we're grotesquely underserved by American standards. So if we were to have a catastrophic event, never mind just the crime we're experiencing, but if we were to have a catastrophic event, Los Angeles is terribly underserved by police officers. I mean, it's just fantastically understaffed by American standards of cities. Did you know that? I mean, I didn't know that until tonight. I never looked at it.
I knew the emergency management departments. We have researched that to try and ask the council for more funding. So I knew the numbers of emergency management departments. I didn't.
What are we going to do?
I knew that. Well, that's why it's important for neighbors to get to know neighbors, because
Oh
in a crime situation, in an event of a catastrophic event, the predators, for lack of a better word, are going to go to the most vulnerable sites. So if they see a neighborhood that is prepared, that has teams walking around, that looks organized, that has, yellow caution tape around the trees that have fallen, they're not going to go there. Those people that are going to take advantage of the darkened neighborhoods, of the neighborhoods where people have left, of the neighborhoods where people are locked behind their doors and are scared to come out. If they see a neighborhood that's well prepared, that is organized, that is together and working together, they're not going to mess with that one. It's too much work for them. So they're going to go to the easy target. So that's another key principle to why we want you to get to know your neighbors, because it's not a secret. We have earthquakes. I have an earthquake alarm on my phone. It goes off all the time, from Northern California all the way down to the Mexican territory. There's earthquakes constantly going on in our state, minute after minute, hour after hour. They're just little. So it's not a secret that we're waiting.
Can I ask you this question? This is probably, you probably know the answer, but you may think my question is ridiculous, but I really do want to ask you this. Is what you just said is if there's an earthquake and there's these people going around doing terrible things, what is it specifically that they would see in a community that shows that community is organized? What would be those signs?
People.
Well, the neighborhood watch signs that are at the
neighborhood watch. Mm-hmm. We ask you when you come out of your home to wear protective personal equipment. So that's a bicycle helmet or a hard hat, some kind of vest, especially a lot of our catastrophic events happen in the nighttime, a flashlight. So if you see 10, 12, 14, 20 people walking around with flashlights, bicycle helmets, hard helmets, with papers, clipboards, tools, cutting down fallen tree limbs, there's obviously teams, there's obviously coordination, there's obviously discussion and communication, and you see this day and night, in and out. That's a lot of work for them. They're not going to. And then two blocks down, you see that it's empty. The streets are empty. The lights are off. Nobody's home. Those are the easy homes to pick up. So that's what the signs, as Robin mentioned, and then the visual, keys.
And thank you for the bicycle helmet. I'm going to add that to my earthquake kit. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, the Ryland workshop tells you all kinds of little secrets.
I bet, Sean, you have a few at your house.
I got one for everyone practically.
We have a comment from Adele. Hello, Adele.
Hi, Adele.
Hi, I don't actually have a question. I have been listening and I didn't know how I could participate. And I just poked something down there that said raise hand. So
Adele, welcome, and please join us. We meet the first Monday of every month at 7 p.m. So please come anytime and just come and listen or come and offer any words of advice or suggestions. We welcome them. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Chrysanta, thank you so much. You are a bevy of information. We appreciate your time and your knowledge. And when I meet with my next Watch Captain group, I will probably reach out to you and have you come and speak.
Of course.
So thank you so much. And we'll be in touch, I'm sure, soon.
Everybody have a happy New Year. Please stay safe. Good night.
Thank you, Chrysanta. Thank you for being with us. If you could send us the toolkit, and Robin beat me to it. I'm going to have you in our community as well. We're side by side. So thank you very much.
And I am on Weather Watch and my duty team is coming up. So for some reason you don't get my information in the next 2 or 3 days, please feel free to text me or email me because sometimes I get lost in the events.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you so
everybody.
much. Good night.
Colby, we're gonna move on. We don't have any, I put it as ongoing business, my mistake. It's actually new business. Let's get to the homeless count. I see it's already 8:30. So I know you wanted to talk about the homeless count.
Oh, yes, there's information on our newsletter, but it's going to be January 25th. You have to pre-register. Also, I received a request from Toluca Lake Magazine. They want to do an article on the homeless count in Toluca Lake, and they would like some quality pictures, photographs taken. I'm not a photographer. I don't have anything beyond an iPhone to take pictures. So I'm asking stakeholders, asking anyone listening if they would like to participate in that capacity to take photographs of this count and to get more publicity for our plight we have in our
Is
community.
anybody planning to be part of the count? I know Tess, you've done it before. I know Tony's done
Yeah,
it.
I'm only hearing about it for the first time, so I need to know when and all that.
Okay, well, if you do plan, Colby says you need to register, and if you wouldn't mind, I don't know what they want photos of. It seems like a privacy thing, whatever they.
I'm not really sure. They get request. You're right, Robin. That might be an issue. They do want to do an article on it. I know that.
Volunteers, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I know that the magazine you had said wants to do an article on it. We just have to be very mindful that we're not taking pictures of the actual homeless or house.
Is there a website where we can look this up?
Oh, the about the homeless count?
Yeah.
It's actually on our newsletter. There's a link, but we will put it. You know what we'll do is we think Robin should put it on our website or send out an e-blast, another e-blast about this.
Okay,
What's
they
the
do it on
date?
social media.
25th of January.
Okay.
And we'll put it on a social media, get the word out. You have to pre-register. I haven't pre-registered yet, but because I haven't gone through the process yet, but it's a pre-registration process, and it's the 25th of January. And we'll get more information about that out to the public.
Okay. All right. Any questions about the homeless count? Okay, we'll move on to the homeless services guide. You were all sent the Studio City version of what this is. Colby, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's actually it's part of Louise Oliart was helped to create this. Here's the PowerPoint, essentially. I printed it up, and we all received it, and it's similar to if you've ever used LA 311 to report graffiti, and because there's a patchwork of jurisdiction overseeing a homeless situation in our community, it's confusing. You know, if you just call LAPD, if there's a homeless encampment in one area and you call it LAPD, that might not be the best person or best group to call. And what Luis has done for Studio City is to create a presentation of the 3 or 4 links to click on, through the internet, and to report the location of homeless situations in Studio City. And he sent us a soft version of what he created for Studio City, so we could create basically a very similar one for the greater Toluca Lake community. So I think we should definitely get that up and running and work within the framework that he wisely put together and distribute this to our stakeholders.
Does anybody want to head this up?
He's done probably 90% of the work already.
Yeah.
And he's done a great job.
We did tailor it to our area.
It's probably the same links, and if anyone's ever used LA 311, which is a wonderful service and it works surprisingly well. If there's some graffiti, you just take a picture of the piece of graffiti, if it's on a mailbox or on a sign, a general location, it actually has a GPS located in the software, and you upload it to basically the city of LA. They come out within a week. Actually, they come out within 24 hours when I requested. and this is a similar service for homelessness, because you just can't call. There's not one service that will take care of or help with a homeless situation. There's a whole patchwork of them, and this is a way that he's found to sort of mitigate the confusion. So if there's someone out there who is interested in heading this up, I'd be very appreciative. If not, then I guess we'll get work. I'll figure out something else.
I don't want to commit to it because I'm overcommitted right now, but I had this idea probably 3 years ago and I raised it several times and I forwarded, and it's a good idea and it's worth keeping on the burner. But I forwarded a Beverly Hills resource card, which is really super useful. And it's the size of a credit card or a business card you can stick in your wallet. And the NoHo Home Alliance has something, a resource similar to that. And Nithya, no, actually, was it Nithya? No, David Rue had a resource, a list of resources. I can dig up what I have and resend it to everybody, so that you can compare and contrast. And if somebody wants to go through and see what the latest is, and put those together in a resource, that would be great. I may be able to help, but I can't commit to it right now.
I'm wondering if Nick, because he was so interested in helping with the homeless, if he would be interested in.
Possibly. Now, this connects with outreach because we would, whoever is in charge of this would have to outreach to the stakeholders, through email blast or any other way to create this kind of card or something like that. Because if you boil it down, it's really not that confusing. It's just, and Luis looks like he's done a really nice job boiling it down for Studio City. And I think we're essentially in the same boat as Studio City for most of these links.
Well, the outreach meeting is Wednesday night, maybe.
Yeah. I'll reach out to Nick.
Mhm.
I'll remind him about this since I'm sure he received the email, but and that's it for the homeless guide.
That's it.
Okay.
Any other new business?
New business?
Yeah, I'll give you, this is Jay.
Hi, Jay.
Just one point to Mr. Gregory. The amount of police that's been assigned to Los Angeles has been at 10,000 for as long as I can remember. It's come down a little bit, it's gone up a little bit, but it's always around 10,000. And the reason it's around 10,000 is, you might guess, is money. Now, if you wish to increase your taxes and cut out a few amenities, you can probably raise the number of police. Police Chief Bratton, when he was here, always got the community involved. And as you can tell, I'm very pro community activity. And when he went back to New York, I think they were still at about 45,000, and they've got twice the population. So just do the math on it, and you can figure out why we have only 10,000. And the community has made up a great deal of our ability to support the entire community. So I just wanted to raise that so everybody's aware of what some of the history was.
Thank you, Jay. That's very helpful.
Thanks, Jay. And it's very alarming to hear we have between 9 to 11 homicides in the greater North Hollywood area per year. That's a lot.
Too many.
Yeah, it should be 0. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for our first meeting of 2022.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
So much. It was a
Our
long one,
next
but we had to get caught up on some things. We had some horrible news to attend to.
Our next meeting is February 7th.
Yep. And I'll close this at 8:36 p.m.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Be safe.
Good evening.